Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Okay, so we're looking at an introduction to Cricut and home cutting machines. So Cricut actually is one brand of the home cutting machine. We use our machines that at the get-go, they will cut precision. They'll cut a number of different materials. I'm not sure if it's going to show, but I have some pressure sensitive vinyl, which you can use for car decals, water bottles, things like that. They'll do heat transfer vinyl, which most people use for t-shirts, but you can also use it for other sorts of identification. You know, I did that so people know what where my blood pressure is there. A lot of people use it for like party favors, photo props, greeting cards. This one, well, the tabs can't fill out, but yeah, the pop-up greeting cards.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's a lot of work.
One at a time.
Yes.
Then you put it together. Okay.
Yeah, so it's a lot of things that, yeah, basically what it is you're cutting a lot of individual pieces and putting them together. And so it'll even do some leather. This is not done very well, but this is a first attempt I've been working with the knife blade on the maker. And
But the entire thickness is cut at once.
no, it takes 4 passes to do
All
that.
right.
So it's a whole bunch of different materials and things that it uses. And then most of them will also have a pen tool so that you could do something like draw. So this is drawn and cut. And what it basically is, basically it's an envelope that certain Asian people will use on New Year's to put money in. So that was it was a design that I had the graphic. I said, let me make the money envelope. So there's a whole bunch of different things you can do with it. While we were at, and this piece did not work very well, but while I was demonstrating in the other room, I did 3-dimensional Easter there.
Oh.
Okay, so that's actually from somebody else. So, okay, so basically a little bit about me. I'm an independent crafter. I've been a Cricut instructor. I'm secretary of ACGNJ, which is one of our sponsoring organizations. And I've been running the mobile devices SIG. I actually found a TCF set of acetates for the overhead projectors from the year 2000 that I had done. And that was not my first talk here, so it's definitely over 20 years. I got to update that. So another thing to note that my views are my own. I'm not speaking on behalf of Cricut. I'm not speaking on behalf of any of the other brands or manufacturers that I'm going to be mentioning in this presentation. Okay, so I'm going to look at what home cutting machines are. I kind of did a quick view of what they're used for. We'll look at our current series of Cricut cutters, and then design space to create a project. Actually, I didn't bring everything, so we may not do the create the project right now, but I'll show you what it goes through. Okay, so these home electronic cutters, again, the general term is CNC, computer numerical control, because basically you're using software, whether it's internal on an ancient machine like you have, or external from a computer or from the web, to control the device to make its cut. So these do use some very small, sharp knives to cut precise designs into a variety of materials. I actually have, whoops, an error here. This is not what I wanted to do here. Okay, not what I wanted to do at all. From current slide. Okay, page up there. Okay, I have an error here. I wanted to say instead of or in addition to a knife. And that's basically looking at machines such as the Glowforge. There's the DI9, and I'm not really talking about those here, but I do know that I do want to recognize that they exist. And these cutting machines may also support a pen or stylus. Pen will be doing, pens and markers will be doing drawing, very much like a single pen plotter. A stylus is usually used for scoring, so that will create precise folds in your in paper or cardstock. Some of them will also be used to create designs, and embossing or debossing. And then depending on, depending on the make and model of your machine, it may have a built-in scanner. It may have other specialty cutting tools, scoring wheels, heavier duty knives. So it's a whole bunch of things you can have with that. Okay, so some of the things that people make here are card making. What you're going to see, you see in the upper left is a lantern that could be used with an LED light, or in this case, it was a Star Trek Fan Club event. A t-shirt, you can see Baby It's Cold Outside. That was a Christmas t-shirt from a few years ago. T-shirt I'm currently wearing is one that I've done for today. I finally got around to the Ask Me About Cricut. So yeah. So this little guy here is called Cricut Cutie, and he is their kind of mascot.
What's that? Is that vinyl?
This is vinyl, heat transfer vinyl, yeah.
Okay.
And then you can see some other crafts there. Now, the other two items I have here are using pressure sensitive vinyl, and I use those to monogram my crochet hooks and my knitting needles. So I could tell the difference in them because they're very similar color and shape of case. So this, what you're seeing here is basically the beginning home screen of Cricut's design space, but some of the things you can make. So they're popular for a number of different types of projects. And you'll see a lot of times the manufacturers will create a library of licensable designs to get you started. So what you're seeing here is Cricut Access. Well, it's in design space, but it's Access. And they have a library of over 1,000 typefaces and over 200,000 designs. And I'm just looking for my bottle of water in the bottom of my backpack here. Otherwise, I'm going to start coughing like God knows what. Damn it. Sorry, not language. No, I have a bottle of water. I only have 3. Have 3 and I use 2. I know one exists. Basic math. Okay.
For those designs, are they only from like Cricut, or do they have like a community interface and they sell them?
There's a whole bunch of different things. So Cricut Access is generally the designs that Cricut's artists have done for Cricut users that you can license. If you join Access as a member, most of those are going to be free to use. They're paid for by your subscription. Otherwise, you license them by design. You can also import designs, either your own or from other sources, and use them.
What sort of files? Are
SVG usually. I mean, it'll take a number of other files, but SVG is the standard for these. So you can see a couple different things that the Cricut can cut. Now you're seeing the dial on an older Cricut. This is the Explore Air. The current versions have done away with the dial, and your material settings are completely done in software. But you can see it's got stencil film. You can see it's in stencils, iron-on vinyl, that's or HTV, heat transfer vinyl. That's what we use for t-shirts. You can see some rolls, and that's how it usually comes, either in rolls or in sheets. At the bottom, you can see paper and cardstock. I did some custom cupcakes for a political event. And adhesive vinyl, and that's my water bottle with the DHMO. So, and that's just a small fraction of what it'll cut. Okay, so current home use brands, most of what you're going to see is either going to be Brother, Cricut, Silhouette, or Caesar. Caesar is actually new to the sphere. They just came out with their Romeo and Juliet cutters in the past 6 months or so. And you can get these at major craft store chains, through home shopping channels, Amazon, a number of different places. Okay, so just to give you some comparison of the where there's the top of the line, I'm comparing for the most point 12-inch cutters, which is going to be basically the size of the Cricut here. Now there are brands that make wider cutters. The US cutter that I'm showing is 14-inch carriage. The Caesar Juliet's 12-inch. The Romeo's 24-inch. Silhouette has a Cameo Plus at 15-inch and a Cameo Pro at 24-inch. Those are going to be wider carriages that can cut wider materials. Now all of them support pen or stylus. Not all of them will support a roll. Basically, most of these will come back. Yeah, most of these will support something on a mat. Now, Brother Scan and Cut will read your mat to see what you have and scan it so it knows where your material is to cut. The iPad version of Cricut Maker has something called a scan map, which does not work very well, but it's also supposed to scan your mat to see where your material is so you can position your cuts on it. Now that becomes important when you're doing quilting and fancy cuts and things like that.
I was gonna say, sounds interesting.
Well, what happens is, if you're doing quilting, you'll find a lot of quilters use a pattern, use something that has a pattern on it, and for certain pieces, they want a specific part of the pattern to show, and that's called a fancy cut. So, so you can do quilting like that with a rotary cutter, which there's actually a rotary tool for the Cricut Maker devices, and I believe there's also one for Silhouette. So you've got the additional tools available, and some of them will have some deeper knife cutters. And you're seeing here comparative prices. I'm using basically top of the line latest models. So you're looking at Cameo 4 starting at 300, and you're going up to like about 500, depending. And this is basic the machine and your basic blade. You still need to get tools, accessories, and everything else. So this is your starting price, but not quite your starting price. So features. Most of these connect by Bluetooth. They will also, the Cricut will also connect by USB. It's standard USB-A to the old style USB. The Caesar Juliet is different in that it doesn't use Bluetooth, it uses Wi-Fi. Okay. The Brother has a built-in view screen on the scan and cut. That's part of how it does its scanning. They will all work offline to some degree or another. Usually it means you have to have your design preloaded onto your computer and some other things. All of them will have mobile apps. Mobile apps are more or less, but some of them have fewer capabilities than the desktop app, but all of them will accept uploaded images, and you'll see there are various different image formats that are supported. And the one thing you'll see from most of them do take SVG. That is the industry standard.
Thank you, I've gotta go. I'll catch
Okay.
you on the
Okay,
recording.
okay.
I thought you were gonna be laser cutters. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry,
Thank you.
no.
It's okay, thank you. And important information, thank you.
Gotcha. So to note that earlier generations of cutter either didn't connect to a computer or they didn't connect to the internet or both. And that was, as I was showing earlier, that is where those little cartridges came in. I might have put it back in the something. Anyway, that's where those little cartridges came in. And they had anywhere from, a couple dozen to a couple hundred images on them, and the instruction book, and sometimes a keyboard overlay. So these would be some brands of cutter used a disc instead of a cartridge, and it was like a temporary upload. And the Cricut Explore Air 2 was the last Cricut that had a slot to accept those cartridges. right now, but it only accepted it long enough to register it with Cricut, and then it gave you access to those images digitally. So, so right now, though, most people, if you're not using the online library like Cricut Access, or I think Silhouette has something that goes through their design studio, you can license from third party like Creative Fabrica, Net Bundle, Design Bundles, Creative Market, one of those online markets, or you create your own. Okay, so Cricut Access, I've mentioned it a couple of times, and it's Cricut's subscription plan for its library of fonts and images. It also gives you discounts if you buy Cricut branded materials. It gives you supposedly better customer support. And there's a couple of different tiers. There's a certain amount that is free, and there is a certain amount that's that are in different paid tiers. Generally speaking, I'm currently on the monthly plan, but I don't usually keep it up because I usually don't need their stuff. I'm usually getting my my source material elsewhere. And if I really want to, I will buy the one image or license the one image I need. So the design software, people were asking about this here and also in the vendor demo room. So a lot of devices are designed to run on proprietary software or separately available software. Cricut will only run on Design Space, its own software. Some of the other cutters will run on things like Shortcuts a lot, known as SCAL or SCAL in the industry. There's another package that's also very common. I've forgotten its name offhand. So the design tools will vary from package to package and sometimes the level of package. For example, Cricut's Design Space does not have a Bezier tool. It makes it very difficult to draw a curve without a Bezier tool. That is one of my big beefs here, is because I will do a lot of work with Bezier tool. Now, the free version of Silhouette Studio doesn't allow you to import or export your image. Your paid versions do. A lot of people will, without owning a Silhouette, license the business edition of the Silhouette Design Studios, the Silhouette Studio software, just so they can create designs and package them to sell or license. Now, also the device or license may restrict the use of non-proprietary software and tools. This is what Cricut has done, and there is a large proportion of Cricut community that's kind of PO'd about this, but it is what it is, and Cricut does what it does, and that's why people stay with it. Okay, so you're seeing here is a view of Design Space. It's the software that connects the Cricut device to the designs you wish to create. And most of the features are the same from version to version. They're arranged a little differently. So you'll see here on the desktop version that most of your tools are on the left-hand side, arranged vertically. If I go to, skip ahead a little bit here, and where is it? Yeah, back up. Okay, so you'll see here on the Android view, they're on the bottom, and the okay, what's going on here? It's on the bottom, and you're not going to see your layers until you actually ask for layers. On iOS, it's at the bottom instead of at the side, but you can see you can bring up a layers pattern on the right. So that's where you get the difference there. So this is the desktop homepage on Design Space, and you're going to see a whole bunch of projects. Some of them are Cricut's own, some of them other users have made and made available. So like there's some projects I've made that I've said, okay, make this public, and I've shared it with other people, and they can now, taking base on my work, usually with Cricut's own images or with something that's public domain or something that's original to me, they can now take it and make it if they want as well. Profile, and that's basically a little bit about yourself and the projects that you've made public, and you can see some of them down here. probably hard to view on screen, but. And then you can select a project. So this Hello Phone card was the intro project for the Explore Air. Then you see where you've got the bottom customize, allows you to change the size, change the colors, do, personalize it and make it. Just brings you back to a machine, sorry, to the pages that will allow you to cut, draw, and actually make your project. And so here you're looking at a whole bunch of different projects, and you can select from a category. You'll see up at the top where it says search images, projects, fonts, and profiles. And that allows you to search for clothing, Christmas, vinyl, or something more specific. Okay, and if you're not subscribing to Access, on the monthly or annual basis, there's going to be a price for any card you make, and that's going to be shown in the lower left here. Sometimes it will show you give you a breakdown of all the different pieces that go into that. Okay, so in fact, here you'll see the cost breakdown, where you're going to see for this project, the envelope is included with the free images, and the mother silhouette is a Mother's Day, as part of a Mother's Day card grouping. Yeah.
So that's forever, for the 99 cents.
Yeah, you pay the 99 cents once, and then you've got that license. And then the canvas view is going to be where, again, you compose and customize your project, change colors, sizes, and so on. And this was the iOS view, which I showed you before. And you can see I actually had some issues with design space at the beginning, because it wouldn't allow me to import the Hebrew lettering properly. Go figure. I have to actually type in my words backwards in order to get them in there. Goes to show. And then Android. So what used to happen with Android and iOS is you used to be able to flip your orientation, and it would change the way you see the files. I'm not sure if iOS is still doing that. Android has stopped doing it. It is only working in portrait mode. Don't ask me why, and it definitely ticks me off, because sometimes you really need the other view. And why is this not lighting? Okay, got it. So let me see. We'll do it on here. Yeah, actually, in my iPad, you can see here. I'm going to go into the canvas view. Okay, I don't have anything on here right now, but you can see it's flipping my rotation. It's not doing that on my Android phone. Okay.
Can you not block the screen?
I could if I wanted to. I just will use it different ways for different reasons. If I have a long project, I'll want to see it in portrait mode, but it doesn't give me all my tools at the bottom. I have to slide across to get to them. Landscape mode tends to be, for me, preferable for a lot of things, but I can only do Android in portrait mode right now, which is kind of annoying. So again, as mentioned, a lot of people will import their own designs for either something they've created or something they've licensed from another source. And so you have an upload tool there, and you click on that. And so you can see here some designs I've already uploaded. And there's also a little green button that says upload image, and it allows you to search your, you can either drag and drop or search your directory structure for a file that you want to import. And come on. And then we'll ask you for some more details. Sometimes, like if you need to put it as like a full color or a partial color, or how you want it to process the image. Okay, so you can manipulate design elements, so you can group, you can see where I have things here that say group, weld, a second group and ungroup things, so they're kept together. I can attach things so that they're run in the same color and aren't separated out when it goes to make it. I can align things, I can layer things. So now this here, just so you know, just to give you a translation, alle Menschen werden Brüder, all men will be brothers. That's from Schiller's Ode to Joy. And the Yiddish, alle Menschen seien Brüder, that's from Peretz, and his version of it, it's just called alle Menschen seien Brüder, as far as I know, but it means all men are brothers. So this was kind of my take on everybody playing together, as it were. Okay, so this is your mat view, and you'll notice I have like a whole lot of colors in this design here. Each one goes on a separate mat, and you can see when I go to the mat view, there's like 1, 2, 3, and you see each color's on a separate mat here. Come on. And so it's going to present them on the default page sizes, and so which is usually 12 by 12 unless you're doing something really large. And you can select separately for things to mirror and what material you're looking for in mat size. And mirror is kind of important because when you're doing pressure sensitive vinyl, this is the backing of it, you're cutting from the front. When you're doing heat transfer vinyl, you don't have that gridded backing. This is clear carrier, and you're cutting from the back. So you're cutting the mirror, so you cut the mirror image so that it comes out to be the correct image when you iron it on. Okay. Okay, so there's a couple different cutting mats, and you can see 3 of the 4 of them here. And so the standard grip for they're going to be different colors for different machines. Silhouette uses like a clear white and a blue. So Cricut, we have green as our standard mat. It's a standard grip mat. We use that a lot for vinyl. We use that for most materials. The blue mat is called the light grip, and we use that very often for paper and cardstock and things that don't need as much strength to keep in place. The purple strong grip mat is used for heavier, slippery materials, such as leather and wood. But most of the time, if you're using that strong grip mat, you can also use painter's tape or masking tape to secure down to the mat so it doesn't slip. There is a 4th mat, which is not listed here. It is a pink mat, and it's called a fabric mat. And that is used either with a bonded fabric blade, which is just for literally bonded fabrics. So that would be like a knit that's bonded to a backing, or a fabric that is bonded to like a heat and bond so that you're going to iron it on. It's also used for regular fabrics with a rotary blade, which you can use on a maker device. Okay, so this is your Make It screen. This is again from your mat view. You press Make It, and it's going to give you your first, start with your first mat, and it's telling you what your material is. So in this case, since this was done on an Explorer, I had the dial set to cardstock, so it automatically understood I was cardstock. On an Explorer 3 or a Maker, it will always run as if it were on custom and ask me to select my material. And then loading the tools in the mat. So for this particular project, everything was just cut, so it doesn't need anything A, and it wanted me my fine point blade in B. Normally, your tool A is going to have carry either a scoring stylus or a pen or a marker. Okay, so here you're going to see this is more like a custom material here. So set your base material. It's giving you, these were but what I had bookmarked at the time. And there's a piece that says browse all materials, and that will give me a chance to select from all the materials that particular device will cut. And you scroll up and down, select your material, and it will tell you what blade to use. And Sometimes it'll tell you how many passes it needs to make to cut all the way through. Okay, so then you prepare the mat by putting your material on your mat. Usually I just press it down with my hands. A lot of people will take a brayer, which looks a lot like a paint roller, and use that to make sure they don't have any air pockets or bubbles in it, and to make sure it's secured. Then when you put it in, I did not plug this in, but you'll have the arrow will go flashing up and down, and that will tell you to load your material. And once you press that, it loads material. Yeah.
Are the mats self-healing when they cut?
No. They're designed not that you choose your pressure so that they shouldn't go all the way through, but they do damage over time. They are definitely consumable materials. So you can, this one, so, like you can see, this one's gotten pretty messed up a little bit. It's sticky there. I think I have another.
Oh, it's such mix too.
You can
Does
see
that impact the quality of the press?
it can, and that's why you have to replace them from time to time. So this one here got nicked over here. So it can't feed from this side.
Oh, no.
So I had to replace that, but it will feed from the other side. So I can feed it this way, which is basically the centimeter side instead of the inch side.
It's a perfect square, right?
No, it's not. It's
It's 12 by 12?
the cutting area is perfect square,
Oh,
but the mat itself is longer than it is wide.
right, you know what, I see now. Okay. You know what, so I'm so new to this, but I wanna know, because I stay at Michael's and I make buttons and everything else. I have the heat press too,
Yes.
but I use it for like the things you press on the computer.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
press it there,
Yes.
but I wanna learn how to do this.
Mhm. So basically you're going to prepare the mat, load the mat, press go, which is that little Cricut icon. And actually at one point I did a video of how that works, and I cut this out from here because I needed to upload it to a place that didn't want a minute and a half and however many megabytes of video that took. In previous, I've demonstrated it live, and I just forgot to take the other stuff to do that with. So I'll actually show back to this in a little bit later. So basically, your machine will score, draw, and cut, but it will keep everything together. And give you an idea here. So it will come out. Now this here had some issues with it, so it was cut in the wrong places. But as you can see here, it's got cuts, but it's not a complete, everything is in there, including don't want. So what you do is then you take, remove the pieces you don't want. That process is called weeding. And when you finish weeding, you're going to get, I should probably have shown that up here. You're going to get something that looks, now this here I forgot to mirror. So this is why I never use these, because that's mirror image of what it's supposed to be. And then you'll see after it's weeded. That's iron on.
Oh, it's not the adhesive,
No, that's iron on.
so you have to make each of these every time.
So every time, yeah, you mean to make a different one, you need to make one for every shirt you're doing.
That's a lot of work.
It can be, but you've done all the work once, you're just feeding it in and letting it cut and, then waiting until it finishes but yeah, that was a fairly complex design with a lot of Starfield and things in there, because that,
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
Is that a design that you constructed yourself, or did you
this was kind of a combination of stuff. This is for my Starfleet chapter. So we had the star background was from a United Federation of Planets, and then the little chicken guy, that's our little logo. So So you're going to see here in the demonstration on the screen here, you see that this was cut out to have a contrasting underlay. Again, this was that first project for the Explore Air machine. Each machine has a different introductory project, and it usually comes with everything already cut to size. And so we'll come back again to some of our basic materials and give you some names here. So HTV is also called heat transfer vinyl. It's also called iron-on. And that is that iron on that clear carrier. And I think I don't know how to, I guess I need to hold it up this way, and I don't think it's still don't think it's going to do me much good here, but whatever. And so that's going to be usually used for t-shirts, tote bags. You can also iron onto other fabrics or onto wood or things like that. Pressure sensitive vinyl is also sometimes called adhesive vinyl or sticky back. And that is on that non-clear carrier. That is going to be on usually a gridded carrier. I have an example of that. Okay, so this is actually an adhesive foil, but it's the same concept. So if you peel back, it's going to be sticky. And so that's going to be sticky. And then that's your carrier.
Is this what goes on the vinyl bottles?
Yes.
And so I was gonna ask too, do you have to do a heat on the vinyl bottle?
No, there's no heat on that. What you use is something called transfer tape, which I forgot to pack in here because I was too busy trying to get everything packed up to go out. But basically what it's going to do is you're going to have a weeded design that's going to look like this. If I can, yeah, it's not going to really show this way, but basically you're going to have a weeded design, and you use a transfer tape, which, like you saw that clear carrier that we had on the transfer vinyl. There's something like that, but it's a little less tacky, and that goes over this. And then you take off that back carrier, and then you're going to use that. Then you're going to press that down where you're putting it, and then peel back away the clear.
Also, it's like, okay, it's like a double peel off you have to do.
So yeah, so basically you're going to take. So if this were, let me see if I can. Yeah, I don't really have anything I can do that with. Well, maybe I can. Grab. I don't think it's going to work very well with this as a carrier because it's a different item. But yeah. Okay, so if I take, okay, let me take a little Android guy here. So the idea here is you're going to take transfer tape, and you're going to use a credit card over there. Then you're going to pull down this part, and on the transfer tape, little Android guy is going to stick to this. Then now this here is what you're going to put on, and then you rub it down, and then it will stick there permanently.
Oh.
Or as permanently as the PSV will allow you to. Okay, so transfer tape, again, I didn't have that here, but that's low tack clear vinyl used to transfer. There's also a transfer paper that's used, and that's used usually with a soap solution. And apparently that is better for doing things like surfboards and cars and things like that. Okay, so then there's another thing called infusible ink, which I may or may not actually have any. You know, I didn't. Okay, infusible ink is Cricut's version of sublimation. Yeah, I can't really show much here, but basically it works on a polyester fabric, and you'll notice that this does not have a any sort of texture to it. It is right into the fabric. There is the other, as opposed to the vinyl that you'll see there is a texture, there is a separate layer. So the way the sublimation ink works is that when you heat up the polyester, it opens up the fibers, the ink transfers to a gaseous phase, It goes into the fiber, and then when it cools, it closes up. Now, infusible ink is how Cricut puts it onto essentially a carrier. So it's usually just either a single color or it's a design that they have, like a designed vinyl. And you just do it like that. Or you can use that one, the shirt I have there, used markers on laser paper. And there were special markers and you heat transfer. Yeah.
It's just more durable once it's on the fabric.
I would say probably the sublimation, but the sublimation does require polyester. It will wash right out of cotton.
Oh, so the base material is polyester.
Yeah, because it's the way that the fiber behaves. Okay, so that is, and that's usually on a fairly stiff carrier, and I forgot to bring that in with me. I was like doing 5 things and saying, what am I carrying, what am I not carrying?
I get it.
Because I had some with me today, but I changed things up to come in here with just basic amounts of things. And then last thing on that page is cardstock, which is basically heavy paper. And that's what we're going to use to make cards with. You can use it to do other things. Like one thing I did was, this is a business card holder. And I can make that to match my business cards. I can make that in colored cardstock and a whole bunch of things there. And you can use that for, you know, party crafts. This actually used craft board and cardstock. This was supposed to be a photo prop. Probably should come back here so you can see photo prop there. And unicorn headband. Okay. And so some design tips. And so unless it's specifically designed for it, vinyl cannot be printed on. There is a printable vinyl. Now you'll need to be careful because some printable vinyl is not going to keep the print on it after it's washed or after it gets wet. So you've got special printable heat transfer vinyl. You have like Caesar has a, I think it's DTV, direct to vinyl, they call it, easy DTV. It's the same thing like your iron-on transfers that you buy in the store to do your regular computer print. Now, the nice thing about using a Cricut or a Silhouette is you can also have it go outside around so you don't have all that extra clear stuff sticking on it. And cut it first. So you're great. So if you wanted to do a gradient or pattern, you need to either have the vinyl done that way or use a print and cut technique. Print and cut is where you're going to print something out on your computer and then you're going to run it through the Cricut, and then it will cut it around that area. One way that print and cut can be used is to create die cut stickers. Like if you'll take, this is like these stickers here, you can see were printed on the computer. And if you peel them back, you will see that they are peeled at the edges. Or you can just kind of cut them like this, cut them all the way through. So so those are called print and cut. And there's a process called flattening where you basically attach the printed item, you know, the printed design to the underlayer so it knows to cut, where to cut. Remove your underlayers of vinyl to create a smoother effect. So if I have 3 colors of vinyl, one on top of the other, you'll notice it's going to create a bit of a bump. If I cut out the vinyl and then I'm going to put another color on, I may have a little registration issue, but I'm not going to have as much of a bump and it's going to be more durable. Layers of cardstock can be applied to each other with dimensional adhesives. Yeah.
So you're saying you take a piece of vinyl, right? And then you cut out a layer of the vinyl?
Yeah, so basically, like this was the original design with this was the purple was going to be underneath, and now this here was not done completely properly, so it's not going to show up. But you can see This was the original. So what happens is, again, this time got screwed up. I was going to be taking this piece off from here, much like I took the star field off from here.
I gotcha. I gotcha.
Oh.
Yeah, understood.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm not sure how well that shows up here.
Yes, but I mean, I heard her when she said it was senior.
Oh,
It's
they-
different. Yes.
Okay, so you can see where there is. Now layers of cardstock can be applied to either with dimensional adhesives for three-dimensional effect. That's how I got the unicorn headband. That's how the person who designed, this is from Design Bundles, who designed this little rabbit thing, gets that dimensional effect. So you're using a dimensional adhesive there, and for some reason or other, this glue does not work well.
Got like little foam circle.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and
See,
yep, and then again, so Cricut, Design Bundles, and other vendors have a whole bunch of YouTube libraries. They're going to demonstrate all different projects and techniques. So you can search for YouTube, search on YouTube for Cricut, for Design Bundles, Jennifer Maker. So a whole bunch of different people that you know where they're going to. So that's some resources here. So I've got the websites for Cricut Silhouette for the cutters. There was a New York Times review, which at that point, I don't remember if they were saying they preferred the Explorer R2, which is an older machine, or which machine they preferred. That was not what I wanted to do there. Okay. Okay, so design resources, those are places where sometimes they'll give you free designs. Sometimes they're designs you need to pay for them. Okay, so there, and some of them will have a bit of each. Okay, training resources again, the YouTube channel, Design Bundles has a YouTube channel and a community where you can just come with each other and talk to each other and ask tips and tricks. Makers gonna learn, they're tied into selling you their products, their subscriptions, their classes, but they have a lot of stuff that's available for free. Pixel Surplus also has some good design tips. And another thing I found recently that I don't have on here is the Cricut subreddit. There are actually a couple of different Cricut subreddits. There's a subreddit Cricut, there's Cricut Crafts, there's a couple of other them, and they're pretty good. Okay, so let me kind of come out from here, and screen sharing has stopped. Okay, I need to go back and actually bring up Design Space and then share that screen, although I think I'm running over, I'm not sure.
you are.
Okay. So,
We got like 7 minutes maybe.
okay, and let me see, will this, where's my Zoom?
Oh.
Okay, now where am I going here? That's what I want to share. No, yeah, that's what I want to share. Okay, got it. So this again, this is the home screen for for Design Space. I think I have something on my canvas, so let me go to Canvas. Yeah, okay, I actually don't. Okay. I'm just gonna go bring up. Okay, that's Canvas. And then if I go over to make it. And, okay, you're welcome. And then it will ask me for my materials at some point, your material size, mirror. Yeah, okay, that's not what I wanted there. Okay. And if I go to continue, it will try to connect to my machine, which it's off right now. But it will then give me my list of materials. Okay, I'm just gonna quit design space right now since I'm running over. But I don't know if I have any place for questions and answers. Was there anything in the chat? There's nothing in the chat there. And just 2 participants. So I think everyone's gone. Okay.
If you license one,
Yeah.
is that per project? Like say you want to use it for one project and you were making one thing and
Oh.
then you go to use the same. image?
You know, it depends on the terms of the license.
Okay.
So if you're licensing from, I'm gonna just, so if you're licensing from Cricut, it's generally you're going to, if you're doing it, you're gonna license it once and you have it forever.
Right, it just becomes part of your library. So
Yeah, if you're licensing from something like stock photos, or if you're licensing from some of the other, you need to know who you're licensing from. And some of it's like I had to, for a project I did for somebody, I needed to license a heartbeat design from, I think it was stock photos. And that was licensed basically per project. The license was for that client.
Right.
And so if I needed to use that image again, I need to license it again for the next client.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
So it depends on the terms of the license.
Yes, okay, yeah,
Um,
I see a lot of stuff with different types of licensing stuff.
Yeah, and there's some licenses that are designed, most of these licenses are either designed, you know, from these spaces are either set as personal use or commercial use, but most of them are not available for print on demand. You need to pay an extra if you're going to use it for print on demand, or if you're going to use it on the web, you know, for like a web page or something like that.
Okay.
You're going to pay differently. So yeah, because these are, because not all of these designs are meant specifically for paper cutting.
Right.
So
So right, so if you use on a web page or.
right,
or
they're going to charge you.
Products for something and you use part of it or something, pay them for using it for a different thing.
Or yeah, and so they'll have, some of them will give you print on demand licenses, some of them won't. You know, it depends, basically it depends both on the source you're licensing from and the individual project. Or the type of project, or the, I should say, the artist. So like Pixel Surplus has a lot of people who are going through Behance to show their stuff, and you know, they will have different types of license. They'll have a personal use license, a commercial use license, a web use license for so many views, for so many other views, print on demand license, corporate logo license, you know, a video license. So you know, you just got to pay attention to what the restrictions are for that particular license.
Right.
So I was looking at your business card holder, and in my mind, I'm trying to think about how I can animate that in sort of origami style. How did, like, so when that's 3D, you can make 3D designs like that?
So that's that, yeah, basically what you're doing is it's constructed when it has
Big fuss and sports, right?
cuts, scores, and adhesives.
Oh, you know, I'm so glad I got up to see this because I didn't realize that this is what was going on. Oh, I want to take a picture.
Yeah, so and that is one of the projects I designed that on Design Space, and when I put that through, I said, okay, I'm going to make this public because I know other people are going to need that or want that. So
Which little thing?
Yeah.
Look there.
okay,
For someone.
okay,
Thank you so much. Listen, I'm having a gala in May, and if you wanted to advertise, you can attend May, advertise for a sponsor. I love this, and if you're like doing classes, you can put that there, because I'm interested in learning more. Because this is like, I know this stuff, and I actually create things real kind of analog bootleg.
Yeah.
And I think people would really want, oh, yes, thank you, yes. People would really want to know.
yeah, and it's a lot of fun. And for what it's worth, and I'm finding a lot locally, or at least locally to me, a lot of the people who are doing really well with the Cricut and with similar systems are people in the are women in the African American community.
Oh my God,
There
yes.
really, there's a whole lot of custom stuff going on. There's a whole lot of
I tried to go a hooker and crochet.
Oh, okay, okay. I like, I don't wanna know. I don't.
It's like you did crochet hooks. And so my mother taught me how to crochet when I was a little girl, but
Mhm.
I mean, I did it, but I didn't learn like the patterns to really make it fancy. I just freestyle. And I made this really cool, I got a 25mm hook, and I got the really big yarn. And I made this really cool winter collar, and I haven't even had to wear it too much because it's been warm. But
I think the most intricate thing I did in crochet was I did a Hanukkah curtain panel in I think it was number 20 thread.
oh,
And it was filet crochet. So, you know, it's the past filet crochet is simple. It's just chains and double crochets.
yeah.
But I had wanted it to be something like 36 inches wide, and I forget how, but it ended up about 30, but and there were a couple of errors there too, but you know, so it's like I've at times said I really want to mount it and frame it or something, and I just have not gotten around to doing so.
Right.
And the thing is, I actually, during some of my time at Michael's, I did spend in the custom framing department, so I actually know how to frame it.
Oh, so you did work at Michael's?
I used to.
Okay, because I love Michael's.
Mhm.
And there's so many beautiful ideas. And I'm like, oh my God, I wish I had really like time to just do
Oh,
all
yeah,
this
oh, yeah,
stuff.
and the thing
Joanne
is,
Fabrics, I actually like Joanne Fabrics, but
Oh, yeah, so I don't
only because I do photography and they have like all these different backgrounds of fabric.
they used to have a lot more fabric. And the thing I used to like was going into the quote clearance area.
Oh, yeah.
Because you had to know your fabrics to shop there, because they never put any information, they never had any fiber information or anything like that, but you could find some really incredible fabrics and God knows what sort of, you know, bargain basement prices. Just but you had to know what you're looking for, you know. And when I shop for fabric, I shop with my fingers. I also shop with my nose, because I find different fibers have specific odors to them.
That's true too.
The chemicals, synthetic ones, yeah.
But even so,